I Feel It in the Water is a good friend of the stream who has recently been very much finding the value of stretching. So Edgar, Water, this is actually a good point. Why don't? Because Edgar leads a samba drummers group. And samba drumming is a very, very, very physically intensive activity, which people might think makes it more difficult to access if you find trouble doing bodily movements. But Edgar, would you say that not having full body mobility is a reason to avoid things like samba drumming?
What?
Not having full body mobility. So I was wondering if you.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets you moving.
So
and
what the
play
thing.
with your full body.
So perhaps you'd like to take a minute to talk about the samba drumming workshops and the groups you lead and your objectives, because I've been working with a number of my viewers, including I Feel It in the Water, talking about body consciousness, especially in music, how you can relax the body through activity in a way that doesn't stress the body at all. And I imagine that's something you talk quite a lot about in your samba drumming groups with people who might have, I know one of them, for example, has nerve damage in one of their hands. And a lot of people would think, like I've often spoken to people who have nerve damage in their hand and think, oh, that's why I shouldn't play piano, because my hand doesn't work properly. And perhaps I'll let Edgar talk a little bit about samba drumming and the health benefits of an active lifestyle, if you'd like. Would you like a microphone?
Maybe.
One sec, guys. I'm sorry. Home studio, innit? Home studio. We're almost there. Yeah, I have to just unwrap. 1 second. Keep holding. Keep waiting. There you go. Yeah, you got it.
Hi. Yes, I do a lot of drumming workshops and activities around London. So in particular, I'm leading two groups. One, the Pensionista drummers here in Croydon. We have regular weekly workshops every Tuesday. And basically, it's like a community. We just play all together, and then basically you use your full body when you play drums, and you have to keep on time. So it's really good to develop,
Try and speak into the mic.
dexterities into your hands, and then basically
Put your mouth into the microphone.
and then you do a lot of exercise too. It's quite, because you're holding the drum and you're hitting and you're moving a lot, and some of the rhythms are really fast, so you end up getting a lot of movement and being active and feeling very good after it.
So some people might be worried if they, for example, have limited mobility in their arms, that kind of strenuous activity would somehow make it worse. Would you talk a bit about that? Like for people who think, oh, I'd love to do samba drumming, but my arm hurts. So if I have to do all this movement, my arm's going to hurt more.
Well, no, you can start.
One more second, Eddie, can I ask, that mic really does need you to be right next to it, yeah? It's not, you can't hold it here, you have to speak directly into it, yeah?
Yeah, so even if you have some, physical problem in one hand, it doesn't really matter, because you might transfer most of the movements to the other hand and complement with your weak hand, and eventually it's going to get better and better to the point that it's going to be able to lead and play equally. So everybody that starts drumming actually have one side that's much worse than the other one. So if you're right-handed, your left hand doesn't work at all. And you really have to practice the weak hand to get better at it until you get equal level of dexterity.
Body symmetry.
So if you think you have like a limitation in one hand, then drumming can really help.
It's
in
my
a really
my
fun
mic's
way
there.
to exercise too, because it's not really painful, and then you're going to feel a lot of joy after it.
Exactly. So I Feel It in the Water says, so you work with what you have, and as you go, you activate whatever it is that you're using. Very well put, Water. Absolutely, absolutely. Because you don't have to have this fear of like going to a music session, people being like, drop and give me 20, like lift up 7 drums, rah. It would be like, okay, let's try it sitting down. Maybe we just use one hand. Maybe you use this little drum. So I went and I actually had that fear, guys. I held off on going to the samba drum workshops because of how much I use my fingers and because of how much I know the impact on your fingers and your knuckles is of hitting drum skins with your hand. And I was just being silly because I said that to Edgar and he's like, oh, well, we'll just give you a drum with a stick then, won't we? I was like, yeah, oh, that's great. I can hit a drum with a stick. It didn't even occur to me. But that's the thing. All of our fears, like we are professionals in what we do. Our job is to try and make it fun and accessible and make sure no one gets hurt. Not to try and push you and break you and you have to bleed and there has to be pain. No, that's not. That's sports, guys. That's not music. Music is easy and fun. It doesn't ever have to be painful and hard, unless you are playing in a blocko for 10 hours. I guess you don't. But Edgar, would you tell these guys a little bit about what you've done and what you've seen in Brazil and some of the...
Okay, but first I want to add something.
Yeah, for sure.
So another big part of what I do a lot of work with people with learning disabilities, which are often mixed with like physical disabilities in Kingston. We started a company called Community Drumming to try to get funding for this project. And a group I've been working the most for about 2 years. It's incredible how they develop mobility in their hands, where before it was really hard for them to handle a drum, but then now they just really ease at it and they start basically composing rhythms by themselves and doing a very creative work, and they have a lot of fun. And you can see they're getting better and better at dexterity with their hands and really engaging both hands on the drums.
So there you go, straight from the Edgar's mouth. You have it. If you want to build hand mobility, find some local drummers and go slap some drums with some sticks, or hit some drums with one hand, or have a little drum, or have a big drum, or stand at drums. You should see Edgar when he's going on the what's it, the ones and twos, right? Yeah. The boom, boom, rubber, boom, 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 whole room shaking. Sounds great. Just the thing, as if this mic wire rubs against the stand, it will feedback. So actually, that's a good point. I'll just turn that off. But then you really do have...
Okay.
But now they can't.
Okay. Yeah, drumming is a lot of fun. I've been in Brazil, in Bahia, a couple of times for Carnival, playing there, and then it's probably an amazing vacation if you're looking for something fun to do, with amazing musicians, like 24 hours a day for a full week.
Amazing musicians 24 hours a day for a full week. Oh, someday, guys. The experience must be very rewarding, says I Feel in Water, to see the people getting better as they're enjoying themselves by creating music. I can speak from my own experiences on that, is that is unreal, especially because you don't just get to see them getting better, you get to play with them. And you just end up having more fun. The harder they hit it, the more you get to have just groove, you know? And I've definitely felt that with the orchestra project we were working on. And I'm going to let Edgar tell you whether he gets that for himself, but I'm going to turn that mic back on.